Welcome to the committee, sir.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, committee. I'm Representative Ron Mendive, representing Legislative District 3. And I have a simple bill. I love simple bills. Yes. And I'll read the bill because for the benefit of the people in the audience here, as they're testifying on these different bills, this is very short and to the point. And basically, it just says vaccination status disclosure. No person, firm, corporation, or other business entity or representative thereof shall require, as a condition of employment or continuation of employment, any person or employee to disclose whether that person or employee has received the COVID-19 vaccine, booster, or any vaccination related to the COVID-19 virus or its variants. Actually, this bill, it doesn't create anything new. The Idaho Health Freedom Act already deals with this, and I'll just read a portion of that. It was read on, Nina read that earlier, but I'll read a portion of it. And it says, it is hereby declared that the public policy of the state of Idaho, consistent with our constitutionally recognized and inalienable rights of liberty, is that every person within the state of Idaho is and shall be free to choose or decline to choose any mode of securing health care services without penalty or threat of penalty by the federal government or the United States of America. That's almost prophetic. These guys saw this coming, apparently, because this is the first time I've ever seen anything quite like this, what's actually happening to us, that they'd come and mandate a vaccine, an experimental vaccine, I might add. But I think that's already covered. This bill just simply says, don't ask, don't tell. That's not a new idea. That's actually been used in numerous ways around the federal landscape, and it's been successfully used. And so the freedom of conscience was one of the main things that our founders fought for. And freedom of conscience, I don't have to explain my conscience to any of you. It's my conscience between me and the God that created me. And if my conscience says I don't want to have this vaccine, I shouldn't have to explain it to anybody, and nobody has the right to ask me that. And so that's all this bill does. It says that don't ask, don't tell. And if an employer feels compelled to know that, that's their right to feel compelled, but I'm not compelled to answer that question. So I know the hour's late. We've been going here long, and there are some other things I could and possibly should say, but for the purpose of time, I'll just be happy to yield to questions.
Thank you, Representative Mendive. Committee, any questions? Representative Birch.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Representative. Does a coworker of an employee who works, let's say, in very close physical proximity, like on a production line, have any right to know if the person they're working shoulder by shoulder, whether or not that person has a contagious disease or has been vaccinated against it?
Representative Mendive.
Mr. Chairman, Representative Birch, thank you. The right of privacy has been upheld in this country on numerous occasions. HIV, AIDS, that was a turnabout for this country. When that first started, it was given privacy status, which was kind of interesting because prior to that, if someone contracted a venereal disease, the health departments were actively trying to nip that in the bud. Suddenly, HIV comes along, and what happened? They said it's a right of privacy, actually, to the point where you tested by numbers. Only the person who has AIDS knows that they have AIDS. So you could be endangering a fellow employee through contact. It's obviously a venereal disease, but it can be contracted in other ways as well. So I would simply say that this is not a new idea, and I think the freedom is freedom, and the one thing that the Constitution of the United States did was it provided freedom for all, and it's the rule of law that maintains this country. And so it didn't take the collective over the individual. Actually, the Constitution provides rights for the individual over the collective, and that's what you're saying is that the collective takes precedent, and I would say, no, the individual takes precedent, and there is no clause in the Constitution that says we will suspend our constitutional freedoms for a pandemic.
Follow-up?
Go ahead.
Okay, first of all, I'm not saying that, but I just simply know, is your answer therefore no, that the coworker has no right to know if the person they're standing next to has a contagious disease or has been vaccinated against? I just want to know. It's a simple question, yes
Representative
or
no.
And that would be a no.
Okay. Any other questions, committee? Seeing none, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate your patience.
Thanks, committee.
Representative Monks.